Eu vou empezar hablando de mi nieta.
I will start by speaking about my granddaughter. She's 5 years old, and she's my teacher. I learn a lot, a great deal with her. Christopher has spoken about imagination that connects the creativity with our emotional side. I live in a different country from South America, and we have many different problems there. So Christopher said that I had to speak about how to do a lot with very little. And how do I manage the computer? Right. This is my city, São Paulo. This is where I live. It's a city that has many problems, different realities. And my granddaughter said, Granny, why the world of imagination is so beautiful? And I say, Anna, what are you talking about? And she said, yes, Granny, only the world of imagination is beautiful. How do I get there? How do I get into the world of imagination? And I said, listen, Anna. And she said again, well, Granny, our garden is beautiful, but look, the world is ugly. So I started to think how such a small girl could be wondering about those things. And of course, she's a very creative girl, and she's always trying new things. We speak a lot together, and we have agreed that we do not really know how the future will bring about. But we have to prepare our children for the unknown. So far, now is better, yes. You've been listening to different experts speaking about theories. I'm going to bring the children to speak directly to you now. What do we have to do so that children get to know how to deal with the unknown? How can we help them to get into the world of the imagination? Draw a little drawing with a door, some cables, and also a mask. And when you press a button, that meant that was the way to get into the world of imagination. But of course, it didn't happen. Imagination took her even a step farther. And that's why I want to speak about children, because they can also be our teachers.
Vou me despedir nesse momento. Estão todos convidados a dançar. Atenção que vai começar a festa do casamento. Viva os noivos! Muito legal a gente interpretar, né, uma pessoa. Quando a gente interpretando, até parece que você não é mais a mesma pessoa, você é outra já.
Na verdade eu ainda tenho um pouco de vergonha, né? Mas eu tô aos poucos perdendo a vergonha. Eu tô gostando de fazer o teatro, porque teatro é uma emoção, é você subir no palco e se soltar pro mundo, se abrir pro mundo.
When I interpret this child voice, we have to think about empathy. That's very important for emotional education. To be able to put into the other person's place, to know that we are different, to know that we are many. So in this experience with theater, this can open up children and ourselves to the unknown. I also enjoyed what the other boy said. He said, well, I'm a bit shy, but then he started to speak. And for me, now to be speaking in Spanish is not my language. I'm in another country. And I remember when I was a girl, I was very shy. I couldn't even speak in front of my friends. So I believe that arts, as Anne said, are very important to develop our children and to develop us as human beings. So for children are important those things with which they can establish an emotional link. That's why their emotional relations are an essential part of creative process. And therefore, one of the most important tasks of teachers is to stimulate and ongoingly motivate the creation of rich and flexible relations. We are always looking at what's going on the table, but some of the things happened on the other side. And this is what children like, and we're not looking there. But also, as Anna said, with the story about the horses, it's important to look to the sky, to get children outside the classroom, to take them to a garden so that they have a different look. They could see the world outdoors. It's very important not only to learn in the textbooks, but also to learn directly from nature. And sometimes it's important that we really play with them, that we start looking as they do, so that we can really work together. So what is really important in order to attain a creative teaching? Again, my granddaughter told me a few days ago that the driver that takes her to school says that she loved to be a driver, but that it was very difficult. It was a very difficult job. So I told her, Anne, I love to be a teacher. I really like it. And she said, listen, Granny, it's very easy to be a teacher. It's too easy. And I said, why? Because she sees that I love it, and that's what makes her think that it's very easy. So what is really important here? That we love what we do. All the photographs that you can see were taken by either me or my students. This is Kimberley, a public school in Canada, where my niece used to study. What are they doing, those children? This is another school. It's a private school, in a very wealthy area in São Paulo. Look at the children. What are they doing? This is a photograph of a project. Semilita is the name of the project, in a very poor region close to São Paulo. And the municipal authorities realized that 2,000 children weren't at school. They didn't have enough time to build new schools. So they contacted the mothers and everyone in the neighborhood. I worked in this project, and we trained those women to become teachers, and each of them have to find a classroom to teach those children. And here, let us compare the Escola Viva. They have everything, and in the other school, they don't have almost anything, not even a school. Canada, Sementina project. Where are the children in all those photographs? This is a private school in Bahia, in Brazil. And I looked how all the teaching materials were displayed. This was in the Sementina project, how they arrange everything. Here again, the project Sementina, the same classroom. They work in this little house made by their parents, and it was just painted in this neighborhood. So the question is the following. What makes the difference? Wealth, teaching materials, or teachers? What makes the difference? Well, teachers. This is the great subject of this meeting, the importance of teachers. Above techniques and materials, boys and girls need creative teachers that will propose significant experiences to them. And now, sometimes we spend our day doing things that we don't really like. But it doesn't really make much sense to do so. How are children going to enjoy school if they can feel that we don't like sometimes what we do? And some time ago, I started to train teachers, and I asked some of those former students to send me information about very simple projects that they're doing in their classrooms. And I loved this one. It's called The Discovery of Coal. They lit a fire. Children were looking at the fire. Then, with different assets, once they were cold, they started to draw. It's very different to do something that we can understand, that it touches our heart. It's very different than just limiting ourselves to theoretical things. And a very small girl said something beautiful, and also Christopher found it beautiful. She said, I like to draw because when I'm drawing, my heart is beating. I believe this is the best way to say my mind and my heart are connected when I'm drawing. The best way to say that emotional education and creativity have to be together. This is from another student that sent me information about this project. I also loved it. She was very much inspired for what a walkabout can bring us. And she said, I invite my students to look very carefully the streets they walk on. We started to work with all objects that we found in the streets or at school patio. What can we find? And then she took the students to the patio, and they started to collect objects from the floor. That's a very simple project, very humble. You don't have to spend a penny. There are less public funding now, but there are many things out there that we can use. Now, the richness of images expressed in different drawings depend on the quantity and quality of the experiences and the context of trust created by the teachers. Again, the centrality of teachers. Teachers, do they really look for objects? Are they only looking in a limited manner? Or is the teacher helping the children to have a different look? The needs of children change with time, and teachers have to adapt themselves. And to do so, they have to be creative. Christopher mentioned that we cannot open an iPod and then assemble it again. Everything changes. When I started to work in university 14 years ago, I didn't even know how to use a computer. I didn't speak English, and I had to learn everything. everything in my university is carried out using information and communication technologies. And I had a doctorate, but I just wrote everything by hand at that time. But I had to learn. What is really important is the art of teaching, and this is a creative activity. To teach is to create. So at the arts workshop, that's a place for creation. Something that I don't know if it's very new or not. My experience in Santander during a summer course was really wonderful. Everything that was carried out by my students came out of their own creativity. I believe that in an arts workshop, the ideas should come from the students. And ideas were very simple. They just play with everything they find. Here, I love this picture of a former student that sent it to me. She made a tent. What's the name? Yes, is that like a shop or a tent? And she is there at the same level of the children that are playing. Ideas will be more complex when we're not playing or working with babies. And this is a project from a teacher that worked with me for many years. He asked the children to bring to the classroom parts of old toys. He organized different boxes, and they had to create new toys. This is something, this photograph is something that I also enjoyed. Thank you very much for your attention.